In this video, I go see Peak Cavern in Castleton, England. I would like to thank my friends Phil and Christine. I appreciate your hospitality and the time you spent with me, and I hope to see you again soon.
I love how clear the water is. This is the little path you have to walk to Peak Cavern.
ARTC.
I'm recording.
Welcome to the Devil's Arse. Good. I know somebody will be jealous. Yeah.
She wants to get a grip on that bird.
Started life out as a small crack in the side of this cliff face, about the size of your finger, and over those millions of years, that water and ice came in, eroded it away until we got the largest cave entrance in the UK, and 14 miles of cave system beyond us as well.
Okay.
Yeah, don't lose me today. Now, the first recorded human activity in this cave is from the use of bandits in the very early 1600s. And they would use this place as a hideout. Then they would go out into the surrounding villages, your money or your life, and come back and hide their loot at the back of the cave. In order to make sure that people didn't follow them up here, they would spread rumours around that the devil lived at the back of the cave. That's where we get the name the devil from. I'll tell you why it's called the Arse in a bit. After about 20 years of this going on, villagers got a little bit annoyed about being robbed. So they came up here and they found the bandits, ignored the rumours and the warnings, dragged them down to Derby, gave them a short drop and a sudden stop, and then the cave remained empty until about 1650, when a lead mining boom arrived in the village of Castleton. And about 2,000 lead miners moved into this village. At the time, if you wanted to go into your mine, you needed to use a rope. The rope makers originally lived and worked out in the fields. They would make their rope out of hemp fibres. The problem with hemp is that it's an organic material, a natural fibre, so when it gets wet, it begins to rot. That's the other talk. Or the ghosts, whichever you want to believe. When it gets wet, it begins to rot, and this being England, well, not that particularly reliable to make a rope. So, massive increase in demand for rope, not enough dry days of the year to make it, so they do the next best thing. Move into this deep, dark, dank cave and make rope here. The same family of rope makers made rope in this cave 16 hours a day, every day, 350 years. They lived and worked in this cave. The last recorded instance of rope being made in this cave by descendants of these rope makers was 1978. There was a man called Bertie Marrison who would make a washing line for newlywed couples that got married down in the church in the village. He died at the ripe old age of 98 in 1983, which is pretty good for a bloke that worked in a cave, that lived in a cave. He's actually buried behind that lantern there in the cave. He requested that in his will, we didn't just... He was a member of the Marrison family. They were the head rope makers, and they lived and worked in that hut at the top there. The other families that lived here, well, they weren't so lucky. They lived in that little one just there. About 8 people would actually live in a hut that top. If you want, you can go in and have a look. You can get 8 of you in there at a time. You realise just how cramped it actually is. And then next time you complain the kitchen's not got an island in it, you can sleep back to it.
Mind your head.
That's small.
That's small.
So that's you, see. Just talk people. Clearly, see.
There's not much room in there.
No, downstairs. If I get downstairs, I'm going to trouble.
Right, okay. Because it's extraction, basically where the lantern is down there, all the way to the back of the stage, just there. This is it, that long, made of 60 strands of this sort of twine. And each terrace that you see would have a different rope being made in it. So there's a lot of rope being made in this cave at one time. Now this is burlap, or jute as it's known as, okay? Back then it would be made of hemp. The problem is it's just that hemp is a lot harder to find these days unless you know to speak to. So they would put a little loop in it, tie it around our contraption like this, and then wheel it out to a sledge like this one that would be at the back of the cave, hook it around the nail on top of the sledge and then come back, hook it around the next hook. Can you...
Really just one.
Gallery, right behind this wall, open the spaces up, start waving around and scare everyone. Our guests start causing control. There's only one way that you can be rid of the children of the dead. That's throwing money at them. So they took all their change out of their pockets and threw it all there. And as they moved further along into the cave, the children came down, picked that money up, that's their pocket control.
Yes, just what?
Oh.